Okay. We're live.
All right, I'm going to refresh it and see if it comes up.
Probably will. Let's see here.
Hmm.
Come on, Sean, give us your best red musburger.
You're looking live. You know what? It's not coming up, though. Darn it.
Let's
there
see.
it is. Hi.
Yeah. I didn't know how long it would take.
How can I share it?
There should be just something that says share. Like a little arrow button. Let me fire it up over here. See what I can find. JR.
Capacity is limited, so there's only a few dozen tickets remaining. Joining me in this event, and they'll be.
Let's see. Got 38 seconds. All right. Should be able to figure this out in that time.
So a lot of laughs, a lot of great stories we'll share together. We'll have music.
Of course, this computer's on 56K, so it's taking me forever to get to the page.
Yeah, on the bottom left-hand of my phone, it just says share with an arrow.
Yeah, for whatever reason, share is not.
Yeah, it says like. It says like, comment, and then share, and then you should be able to share it from there.
All right. It's frozen right now. Wouldn't you know it?
Okay. All right. It's okay. We're coming in.
Albom in the afternoon.
Welcome to Albom in the Afternoon, debut performance on the second day of 1996.
This is an unusual guy, this Mitch Albom.
The Mitch Albom Show.
Glad to have you with us both on MSNBC and all across the nation. Kenny Brown.
The most dominant co-host in the game.
Hey, Mitch.
The longest running afternoon show in Detroit radio.
The Mitch Albom Show
Starts now.
Here's special guest host, Sean Baligian.
Well, what is up? So glad you can join us all over the great state of Michigan, right here on 760 WJR. I have a simple question to start today. We were having a conversation today. Dave Rieger and I, our fine producer of the show today. And, of course, Mike Parsons, he's in today. When did we, as a society, when did we become so politically charged? When did that happen? And I'm serious. This is something that I have sat back and wondered for a long, long time. Listen, I grew up in an era where there's no other way to say it. I grew up in an era where I didn't know what my next door neighbor's political affiliation was. I didn't care what my next door neighbor's political affiliation was. I didn't know what any of my friends' political affiliation was. I mean, I really didn't. I had no idea how this person or that person felt. You know, I had my beliefs, and listen, were there a couple people? Of course there were a couple people. There were a couple people that I knew the way that they felt. But it wasn't something that was openly talked about. And I guess to both Dave and Mike, you know, I know you guys are in the same kind of position that I am. Was that the same thing for you guys? Because I just don't remember a conversation taking place when I was younger about political affiliation. And, you know, in today's society, I think if somebody hears, well, this person is a Democrat, or this person is a Republican, or this person is a libertarian, unfortunately, I think the average human being out there takes out the paintbrush and paints with a broad brush and said, well, they must think this way, or they must think that way, or they must be a fill-in-the-blank whack job, whatever the case may be. And it's just funny because I would love to have, and again, I'll ask very nicely, an adult conversation about this, where we can sit back and ask ourselves point blank, you know, when did this happen? Why did it happen? And when can we make this go away? Because I don't know about you guys. And this is where I'd love to get your thoughts today at 877-44-MITCH. Quite frankly, I've had relationships suffer because of it. Seriously, I've had relationships suffer because of it. I don't want to go as far to say that I've lost friendships because of it. I don't want to go as far as to say that, I've excommunicated somebody out of my life, or they've excommunicated me out of their lives. I don't think that's the case. But boy, oh boy, doesn't it seem as the last few years have gone on that things are so politically charged that we're heading down that road. I know friends like that. I mean, point blank, I know friends like that, I can't talk to so-and-so anymore. It's like talking to a wall. Oh, I can't talk to that person because they're just so darn obtuse.
Yeah, and I feel like it's now an automatic qualifier or disqualifier. I mean, I feel like it's almost like a prepackaged label. Who you vote for, well, you must have these beliefs and these traits. And like you said at the beginning, it used to be a taboo to talk about politics. I mean, I remember growing up, in 1992, I remember I was in elementary school, and we did mock elections, and we would ask our teacher, hey, who you voting for, Clinton or Dole? And she says, well, that's very private, and it's my right to have a secret ballot. And, as a kid, I thought, that makes no sense. But now as an adult, I'm like, now I get it.
Isn't it amazing, Mike? I mean, because, and again, 877-44 Mitch, that's the number. This is a case right now where I think taboo is the right word to say. I mean, what was the old adage, at least for me growing up? And maybe I'm showing my age. I don't know. You know what? There were things you didn't talk about politics. You didn't talk about religion, right? Weren't those the things that we heard all the time? And those are things that, we talk about all the time. And listen, I've always been the person, like, to me, if you are a nice human being, I don't care what your political affiliation is. I don't. I don't. And unfortunately, today, I have noticed that seep in more and more, and quite frankly, more with some of my friends. Again, not to the point where we're calling it quits and I'm not friends with you anymore, like an 8-year-old or anything like that. But this is something that, to me, has become a recent phenomenon. And as I mentioned, I'd love to get your thoughts on that today. Start out with that at 877-44 Mitch. We have a story along those lines coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. Perhaps you heard about Blake Cider Mill. We'll try to get to the bottom of that and find out what it's all about. We'll have a special guest on for that. But I wanted to start with that today because boy, oh boy, it comes up more and more and more every single day.
And
go ahead, buddy.
No, I was going to say, and those friends that you can disagree with politically and still be friends with, those friends are phenomenal because like you said, it's almost like there are certain people in your life you either want to kind of sugarcoat your opinion or just avoid the topic altogether because they take it very, very personally. And like you said, it doesn't end relationships, but it could strain some.
Yeah. And it's really weird because I just to speak for me, you know what? If you're a nice dude and I enjoy conversation with you and we're not at each other's throat, nobody wants that in their life. So be it. We can sit, I guess, across the political aisle. We'll get your thoughts on that 877-44 Mitch. Before we do that and take your phone calls, let's take a look at traffic here on 760 WJR. Here's Stets.
Thank you very much, Sean. WJR Traffic First, sponsored by the Restore Wellness Center. Tired of dealing.
So, Sean, do you have Facebook open as well?
Yeah, Facebook was open. I think that did the trick.
Hold on. I don't know why you're muted. Hold on a second. Okay. Let's see if I can hear you now.
Yeah, I think that did the trick. Facebook was just like 6-7 seconds behind. So I think that did the trick.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I couldn't hear because I had my headphones in. Okay, yeah. So when you closed it, then it got better?
Yeah, it went away. Because like literally for the first 6 minutes, I was hearing myself and hearing you 10 seconds later while you were talking and while I was talking.
You did a good job of rolling with it.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
yes, I think the actual Facebook feed is a little behind. So yeah, if you listen here on StreamYard, it should be.
That's what I'll leave it here. No problem.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Dave. I forgot to bring you back in.
It's okay. I'm still screening calls, so.
Oh, okay. Let's see. All right.
Hernandez even broke Whitmer's budget,
How are you? You got a comment, Sean?
increasing spending by hundreds
What's
of
your name?
millions. Hernandez said Donald Trump
where are you
was not
calling
his
from?
first or second choice for president, even after Trump won the nomination.
Let's see.
Worse, Hernandez opposes President Trump's wall, calling it ridiculous. Shane Hernandez, he's not a conservative. He's just
Okay. Guess he's not a big fan of Guy's phrasing, but has an interesting point later on in the message there.
Okay.
Patrick Riedel. Guy Gordon says, safe one more time. My head was going to blow off. He spent 2 hours staying, blah, blah, blah. My 9-year-old hockey camp in Chelsea got shut down by OSHA and the county health department by orders of the governor. It's infuriating. Parents are frustrated following protocol, and it didn't matter. They're going to do the same in Jackson. The state is at a low point.
Yeah, it's frustrating, man.
I mean, I think a big part of it is we're just kind of, I mean, this is something we haven't dealt with in our lifetime.
Yeah.
We were caught flat-footed, and we're kind of just running around
Come in for
with our
Sean?
hair on fire.
outside or inside of your home.
What's your name?
Safe and easy.
Scott, where you calling from?
Just ask WJR's Steve Courtney. Certapro painters took excellent care of me.
Okay, what's your comment?
Painting done, and they were on top of their game. They provided a custom project plan, firm estimate, and daily progress reports. You can trust
Let's bring that back up.
Okay.
Residential or commercial, Certapro can take care of it all. Schedule your free estimate at certapro.com. Each Certapro
Hang on the
painter's
line, okay?
business is independently owned and operated. They're right here in our community. That's Certa with the C. Certapro painters, proven and trusted experts in President Trump says
Dave, are those golf glasses developed by NASA to help you hit the ball better?
No.
This is all so much fun. You know, like if somebody's participating on WJR, say hi or whatever, like, hi, how you guys doing? You okay? That's good. Brian said all those parents are hopeless. They have no idea where to go from here. Kids were devastated when data says kids cannot be in camp. There's so much of that, Brian, if you're watching right now, there's so much of that going on right now. I had, you might know him, he's one of my best friends, the head coach at Livonia Stevenson over my house today. And, you know, these guys are lost right now. You know, I mean, you got a season coming up and, you know, you have so many camps right now that are trying to get going. I mean, forget about even development for the player, just for the fun and the love of the game that people just don't have an opportunity to partake in that.
You're listening to the Mitch Albom Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Filling in for Mitch, Sean Baligian.
Just a question I wanted to throw at you guys. I grew up in an era where I guess just with me and where I grew up, I'm a proud Livonia Stevenson grad, go Spartans. I guess I didn't really pay attention to what other people's political affiliations were. It wasn't talked about. And, you know, the few that I did know, if we weren't on the same page, it didn't seem to be an issue. As time has gone on, and certainly in the last few years, that has become an issue. And I know what people are going to say. And I see that one person, I do not think this is a Donald Trump phenomenon, folks. I think this was here long before Donald Trump. I don't know if Mike, you agree with that. And Dave, you agree with that. I think it's been here long before Donald Trump. Has it been ratcheted up since Donald Trump? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. But I think it's been there even before Donald Trump entered the scene. Numbers is always 877-44 Mitch. Let's go right to the phone lines and head to St. Clair, and that is where we're going to find Brian in the Shores. Brian, what's up? You are on 760 WJR.
Hey, Sean, thanks for taking my call. I have thought about this long before you brought this up in the show, and I honestly believe that once cable hit our house and news had to be on 24 hours a day. They had to figure out a way to keep an audience coming back. And it just was one of these things that as shows progressed, you either watched a certain kind of a news or you watched another kind of a news. And then you became part of a camp that just fell into step with one side or the other. When I was a kid growing up, the news came on at 6, it was done at 7, and we got what we needed. But once it went to 24 hours, I feel like people just were being fed something that made them come back, and that's what started this divide.
You know what? You bring up such an outstanding point, Brian, and I appreciate the phone call here on 760 WJR because I have long felt this way. This is something that people get into their camps and they refuse to get out of line. And I've said this 1,000 times. I'm not going to agree with everything that anybody does. That's not the way I operate. Okay. That doesn't mean that I'm anti you or anti him or anti her or anti her. I think that's the definition of sheep mentality. And there are so many people, I can't tell you, if this is really one of those things that I kind of giggle about because, listen, so now you hate fill in the blank. So now you hate Governor Whitmer. So now you hate President Trump. What? No, I just don't agree with them there. It's a fascinating discussion, and I think that's a pretty good answer. Let's go to White Lake. That's where we find August. August, good morning, good evening, as it were. You're on 760 WJR. Old habits die hard, August. What's up?
That's all right, Sean. Whether it's all good. Good evening, good morning. We live in the greatest country. We're all Americans. Point number 1. Point number 2, freedom. People died to have the freedom we have. They gave their most prized possession, their life. There are countries where if you try to do this radio show, they'd arrest you. They come tonight. Take it.
You're right. You're right.
People don't realize that.
I have always, August, along those lines, and I'll say this again. Thank you for the phone call. Twitter, in particular, is just a cesspool, and I can't help but laugh whenever I hear somebody complain that their voice is being stifled, and it kind of makes me go, Well, if your voice is being stifled, you wouldn't be able to have the ability to send this very tweet. You know what I mean? So I think there's some dramatics that has jumped in a certain regard in regards to things like that. You're absolutely right. Let's go to Dearborn. That's where we find Bill. Bill, thanks for joining us. It's the Mitch Albom Show on 760 WJR.
Yes, it is. Hi. I became political. Most of my life, I was pretty much a Democrat. I was told who to vote for. I was told by my union who to vote for, and I just went along and did it. And pretty much my whole family were Democrats, and so I couldn't tell you who I voted for until I voted for Obama.
Mm-hmm.
I voted for Obama and actually thought he was going to change this country for the better. Second time, I did not vote for him. I voted for somebody whose name I don't even know. But when Trump came up, I voted for Trump. And Trump's the only one that's done anything for me. Okay, he's thrown his whole thing into all this. It's a cesspool. He's in it. I love it. I hope he makes it again. If he doesn't, I don't know what's going to happen to this country. So
hang on the line just for a second, Bill, because I want to ask you about that. When you decided to step out of line, so to speak, and kind of do your own thing, did the people in your life chastise you for it? Did you lose relationships for it or have relationships strained or anything like that?
When I decided to vote for Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Some of my family, we don't talk. Yep. And I can't, and you know what? And they can spew all they want, and I listen to them, and I say, oh, that's fine. But they don't want to hear anything I have to say. So, and that's their problem. So I imagine a few years we'll get over it. Maybe a death in the family will fix it or something. But in the meantime, they're, well, I can't believe that you like that guy. And I said, well, that guy's doing something finally. And I don't think Obama did anything in his 8 years, but I was so excited when he came up. I voted for him. I go, yes, Obama is going to change. He is going to change this country for the better. It's going to be so great. Everything's going to be fine. And that didn't happen. So
yeah.
Right now I'm happy, even though my wife won't let me wear a certain mask because she doesn't want me to cause trouble, or she doesn't want me to get shot, or she doesn't want me to get beat up. So
hey, listen,
no stickers on, yeah.
Listen,
no
that
stickers
Bill,
on my car.
All jokes aside, and I thank you for the phone call and ask you to be safe. All jokes aside, that stuff's real today. I mean, it is absolutely real. There are people that I know that do not want to put signs up because they're afraid of some kind of retribution. And I it makes me put my hands on top of my head. It's unbelievable when you think about it. Numbers, as always, 877-44 Mitch. Let's go to Tecumseh. Scott is hanging on the line. Scott, we welcome your conversation here on 760 WJR. Good evening, sir.
A long time, first time.
Thank
you for taking my call.
Thank you.
I wanted to let you know, I told your producer when I spoke with him, and that it was when Trump got elected. I have to agree with your last caller. I voted. I'm an independent. I voted for Trump or Obama, and the first time, and then I did not the second. And when I voted for Trump, my wife has started basically a campaign where I don't know if our marriage will survive. And I think because of the mainstream media. I have physically seen, I switch between all the media stations. I'm trying to be open-minded. I try to look at all the information and then make an intelligent opinion on what's going on. And I have watched Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo both say that if your family, your friends don't believe in the Black Lives Matter and all these things going on, then they don't need to be your friends or family anymore. And I'm watching it happen in my household currently.
I'm sorry to hear that, Scott. It really, for me personally, and I, obviously everybody has lived different experiences, and I wish you all the best. Thank you for the phone call and the perspective here on 760 WJR. It was around for me, especially being in this business. I can't tell you how many times in the past, and most of the time that I have spent in this business has been in the sports media business. People are almost shocked when they find out which side of the aisle I'm on, and I'm like, does that change who you know me to be? Does that somehow change your view of me? And I can tell you definitively, the answer for some is yes. And I think part of it is people want to talk today, but they don't want to listen. And it's much easier to grab that time-honored paintbrush and just paint in broad strokes and say that every Democrat must be this and every Republican must be that. And then there's those whack job libertarians. You know what I mean? And it's hysterical how that works. And look, it's like anything else. Look, there are some weirdos everywhere. There are some bad apples everywhere. And I've always found it fascinating because, we're told not to paint with the broad brush. And more often than not, a lot of people that are screaming, don't paint with the broad brush, have their paintbrush in their hand. And I've never quite understood that. Numbers, as always, 877-44 Mitch. We'll continue the conversation. I know a lot of people are lining up to chat about this. I think it's interesting and it's sad. And, maybe we as a society can get back to civility and just having opposing viewpoints on things. One can only hope. Michael Stetson, traffic here on 760 WJR.
In Flint, an accident on 69 westbound at Dort Highway. That has you stop and go from Center Road in Bay County. Some good news, that incident from earlier on 75 southbound between Pinconning Road and Linwood Road, that is now cleared. And in Monroe County, an accident on 75 southbound at Erie Road that has you stop and go from Otter Creek Road. Now WJR weather first. From the Weather Channel, a mixture of sunshine and clouds right now. A stray shower or thunderstorm possible for tonight with a low this evening of 69. Scattered thunderstorms for Wednesday with a high of 84. Right now it's 85 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News in 1 minute.
From generation to generation. And old
Hey, Mike,
tradition.
can I chat with people?
You're there
while we're
getting it
doing
done.
this?
You're doing it right.
I think if you go to if you sign in with your personal Facebook, then you can on the actual Facebook page. But I don't know if there's a way we can do that in StreamYard.
Yeah, it's all right, because that was a hassle. Because for the people out there that are maybe watching this show within the show, it was like listening to the old Lou Gehrig speech. I was 10 seconds ahead while I was talking and 10 seconds behind in my ear, and it wasn't really easy. So I had to sign off. But Mark, thank you for your kind words. And Patrick said, is it Sean or Kevin Dietz that get the prostate exams as fill-ins when the hosts need to have them done? While we're on the subject, go get yours, okay? Go get your prostate exam and get your colonoscopy, okay?
For sure. Yes.
No, I love it. You know what? I work where they asked me to work. I'm having a blast doing this. I think many of you guys know I've been a sports guy for 25 years, and I love doing these shows. Mark, thank you very much for the kind words too, bro. Really, really appreciate it. Is that my old buddy, Mark? Mark
It
Gardner?
might be. He's
my old buddy.
He's a super commenter along with Patrick and Clay. So
appreciate that greatly. Thank you.
Sean, I do have to call myself out though. Oh,
yeah.
Where'd Dave go?
No, I had to.
Oh, Dave removed himself. Okay.
All right.
I do have to call myself out because, you're talking about how people paint with a broad brush, and
we all do it.
As far as family and friends, I have some family and friends who are, who are voting Democrat. I have other family friends who are very pro-Trump. When it comes to my family and friends, I just can't write people off like that. But if you're a stranger and I don't know you, and I know your political affiliation, then I'll form kind of a preconceived notion about you. So I'm not complete without sin there.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny to me. I think a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this too. If you are a quote unquote, thank you, Sean, and you spell your name the right way.
The traditional Irish way.
I got to point that out. You've got to me, you've got to get away from all Democrats think this way.
Right.
And all Republicans think that way, because there are a lot of things, or conservatives or liberals, you use whatever term you want. There are a lot of things that I just I'm not in with, you know what I mean? And like Mark said, I don't know. I just wish more people would take the time to A, listen to what people think, and B, be able to make their own mind. You don't have to go lockstep, it's just, other Republicans are doing this or other Democrats are doing this, so I better go along with it. No, it doesn't work that way. If you disagree with something, you disagree with something.
Well, and I think that's kind of an easy way of doing things. If you say you identify with this ideology or this other ideology, then you don't have to kind of think of it issue by issue. It's like, okay, I'm this, so I believe this, and this about that, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I just say what I feel, and whatever people think, I don't care.
And it's mostly wrong, Dave.
You're just a mean, nasty person, Dave Rieger.
I just state the facts. I just give my opinion.
Sure.
It makes it easy.
You got the kingpin going on in the StreamYard there, Dave.
Well, that is my nickname. So we'll go with it. Kind of like other Mike Parsons.
That's right.
Sean, your nickname is Sean.
I've had so many nicknames in my life. My
yeah.
my old school friends, like the guys that I grew up with in Livonia, I was Legion. Just always Legion. Like the last part of my name, it was always Legion. In the last 15, 20 years, Stoney, as you know, started calling me Shawnee B. So that stuck like you wouldn't believe. And Bally. Those are the two that have kind of stuck. There are a couple nicknames that I can't share. I mean, officially on Facebook Live. Yeah, well, I'll tell you in private sometime. There are a couple nicknames that I can't share. But
I'm sure I probably heard some of those nicknames during the Lions broadcasts when you and Steve were in studio, and we had some interesting conversations, bro.
We did, didn't we? I can't wait to have more conversations like that.
I'm surprised as a hockey player you haven't just been called Shawnee or Shawner. Those seem to be the two default templates for hockey nicknames.
You know what? It was always Legion. Like honestly, it was all Liege or Legion. Like at first it was Legion, then it became Liege. What's up, Liege? Hey, Liege.
Since Dave already has Rieger, he'd be like Reegs or Reegsy.
Reegs. Oh, he'd definitely be Reegs. What up, Reegs?
Sure.
Here he comes, 10 seconds.
Everybody still on hold?
You're listening to the Mitch Albom Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Filling in for Mitch, Sean Baligian.
I've always said this is something that I remember. I heard of all people, Sparky Anderson say this when I was a kid. And this is something that I tell my children almost on a daily basis. Not so much anymore because my son is 20. My daughter is 15. But the easiest thing in the world is to be nice to people. It doesn't take any effort. It really doesn't. And, you know, there are times that you might have a heated discussion. There are times that you might have a disagreement, and it's going to happen. And I'm the type of person, I forget about it when it happens. And, you know, you're still my boy. You're still my pal and everything. But I think in today's society, you're hearing it more and more. And we've seen some of the people say it on Facebook Live, and some people have alluded to it here. There's such a toxicity right now in our society about political affiliation. Well, if you like this person, you must think this way. And if you like that person, you must think that way. And it's amazing to me how much people just paint with the broad brush in that regard. And that's changed in my lifetime. I'm just speaking for me there. Has it changed for you? And quite frankly, when did it change? 877-44 Mitch. Gaines, Michigan is the spot. John is the name. John, thank you for your patience. You're on 760 WJR. Good afternoon.
Yes. I think stations like this are part of the problem, not your program here.
Mm-hmm.
But I listen to WJR quite a bit to try to get different viewpoints, but it seems like they're often preaching some real conservative stuff, and they're preaching almost hate for the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And if we choose, and that we have a choice of what we listen to, and it seems like we tend to, like if we listen to conservative stuff, we just keep listening to conservative stuff. So we can divide ourselves. I call it like self-brainwashing. This is like a discussion, and it's good. We can have a nice, calm debate, but after we listen to certain people talk for for lengths of time, we start thinking everybody thinks like that.
It is amazing, isn't it? No, I agree with you, and I think that's why it's so easy. And John, thank you for the phone call. I think it's so easy for people to just make that blanket statement. Mike Parsons, like, I can't make this up. And Dave Rieger, I don't know if you saw this. This just came up, and again, you can listen to us on the radio the old-fashioned way, right here on 760 WJR, one of the nation's most historic radio stations. Or you can follow on Facebook Live. Did you see this comment on Facebook Live? You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, from we'll call her Kathleen. It says, "Why is a Trump supporter filling in for Mitch? This is the only program I listen to on WJR anymore. Turning out until Mitch gets back." I wasn't sure if he was being ironic because of the subject material or what.
I hope she's just being ironic and sarcastic about it, because I have no idea what on earth I possibly could have said that made you come to that conclusion.
Well, and I know you're somewhat conservative, but I
am conservative. Absolutely.
You haven't really said anything, though, that I could definitively say I know who you're voting for. I mean, I would guess you're voting for Trump because you're conservative, but I don't know that for sure. You haven't said anything that really.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that greatly, because, Mike, you know what? I want to keep it that way. I really do. I think we have an obligation to go on the air and to try to be fair, to try to have an open mind to things. And as I said, there are things that I agree with one person that I disagree with another person, and vice versa. So, Kathleen, I know you tuned out, but if some strange chance you're still there, can you tell me, Mike Parsons, you know my 3 favorite words. Based on what? You just made a massive conclusion, Kathleen. And I would love to hear based on what. Because, again, much like we were talking about yesterday, I think sometimes people hear what they want to hear. Numbers, as always, 877-44 Mitch. Let's go to Matthew. Matthew is somewhere in Canada. Matthew, what part of Canada? And thanks for calling 760 WJR.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm over across the river in Lambton County, and I have to say, you've been nothing but professional and nonpartisan so far. So,
thank you.
As a Canadian, for what it counts.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I think I'm echoing maybe some of what the others have said here, which is that I've just noticed, even watching the media, and we have the same thing here in Canada as well. It seems like every election, even the one for dog catcher, is the most important election in your lifetime. You need to take action.
Yeah.
And it seems like everyone's been kind of conditioned to believe that their way of life will come to an end if the other side wins. If it's okay, one quick solution I'd like to offer for you guys is maybe look at repeal the 17th Amendment. Give the states the direct say in the federal government again. And maybe then you have a little bit of balance in Washington, and we can kind of de-escalate this thing. And I'm rooting for you guys. I can't wait to visit you guys again.
No, you know what, Matthew, and I appreciate the kind words and certainly the phone call here on 760 WJR. I love that word. There is a lot of de-escalation that has to go on because, again, people are going to jump to conclusions without listening to the other person. They're just going to assume, if I'm not singing the song that you want me to sing, well, surely I'm a liberal. And if I'm not singing the song that like the person on Facebook wants me to sing, well, surely I'm a Trump supporter. And it's like, I mean no disrespect when I say this, but I got to call it as I see it. Could you be more of a simpleton? Like, really, if that's the way your mind works, that's a pretty simplistic view on things. And I hope that people would be more willing to listen and have conversation, like adults. 877-44 Mitch is the number. Let's take a look at traffic. Here's Michael Stetz.
WJR Traffic First, sponsored by Restore Wellness Center. Are you experiencing nagging body pain, tired of taking medication for relief, neck and back pain, arthritis, tendonitis, muscle soreness, and more? The Restore Wellness Center can help relieve or eliminate the pain completely and get you back to work. Reserve your appointment today. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or RestoreWellnessCenter.com. In Flint, an accident on 69 westbound at M54 that had you stop and go from Center Road. And in Monroe County, an accident on 75 southbound at Erie Road that has you stop and go from Otter Creek Road. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the law firm of Victoria Divorce and Family Law for Women Only. Family members and friends, pass this information on to your loved ones. Security, protection, a brighter tomorrow. The conversation starts with the law firm of Victoria. Call 248-723-1600, victorialawfirm.com.
Partly cloudy skies here tonight. Stray shower or thundershower possible, low 67. Better chance for showers and storms Wednesday. Otherwise, mix of clouds and sunshine, warm, low to mid 80s. Partly cloudy, lower 80s Thursday. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ken Boone on News Talk 760 WJR.
These include
Yeah, I would.
access to capital, entrepreneurial resources, and buyer and supplier matchmaking. Find support today.
Or like, give it a try.
So I can shut down this computer and take the internet from this computer and plug it into mine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it. We'll see. I don't think you'll be able to see the screening though.
Well, worst comes to worst, I can look at the Facebook. Yeah.
Get an unbeatable summer discount savings on landscape irrigation and lighting with Tri-County Services. Serving all North counties with a 5-year.
Yeah, Sean. I thought that person was trying to be ironic.
I hope so.
That was funny though. There you go. Frank and Mark think you're open-minded. I mean, not that you're looking for validation, but
no, you know, I say it all the time. Honestly, it's our job, you know, and I wish more people took it seriously. I do. I have to look at both sides of the coin. That's great. I just got your text. Both times, huh?
Yeah.
Hot sauce both times.
I can understand it. You know what? I've gone on the air. Have you ever just like you've been in a break and you've been eating and you're about to go on the air, and if you don't finish what you're eating, it'll taste like crap.
Yeah.
And so you just shove it in your mouth and just deal with the consequences.
Well, Wheeler could tell you about some legendary breaks down in Toledo. Yeah, my old partner and I, gosh, we were morons. It's just, the stuff that we did back then was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Dave is having some technical difficulties with his computer, so he's working to get back on the StreamYard with us.
So I did short ribs today. I don't know if you saw it. I saw I did short ribs today. And
where do you find short ribs? I looked all over for them one time.
I went to that butchery out in Sylvan Lake, the butchery. They had great short ribs, and I got a massive tomahawk steak that we did up. We smoked it and then did a reverse sear. Like the last 8 minutes, we did 4 minutes on each side. Just a good medium well, or a medium rare, excuse me. It was dude. I don't think I'll eat for 2 days though.
Yeah. How much do those tomahawk steaks run? Those are.
You don't want to know.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Are they worth it?
It was. Yeah, it was. I mean, think of a giant ribeye, but not. I mean, like that thick. I mean, it was. Yeah. So for 3 of us, it was a good meal. It was a good meal.
Ribeye's my go-to. I'll pay a few dollars extra for ribeye. It's just something about the way the flavors permeate it.
I vacillate on steak so much. I mean, you asked me one time, it'll be a strip. Then I'll go.
You're listening to the Mitch Albom Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Filling in for Mitch, Sean Baligian.
Really appreciate the conversation here today, and civil conversation at that, which I think our friend from Canada in Lambton County brought up a great point. De-escalation is needed. Some people will tell you point blank they don't want de-escalation. I think we've gotten to such a toxic point, and I'm kind of sick of it. I mean, look, when you're losing relationships with friends and family and things like that, I don't know how anybody couldn't call it anything but toxic. And the reality is, unlike when I was growing up, it seems like everybody knows the way that everybody thinks. And if they don't know, they're convinced they know. And it's amazing how that works itself out. Numbers, as always, 877-44-MITCH. I believe Jim is hanging on the line. Jim, appreciate your patience down in Tiffin, Ohio, here on 760 WJR.
Yes, I agree. And thanks for taking my call. With the first caller, that 24/7 TV or news on the TV probably is more than willing to give everybody an opinion, as in maybe any other show. So your opinion needs to be understood, because if somebody asks you about something and you can't defend it, then you're probably going to get upset, which pushes you even further into your opinion that you don't know what you're talking about.
That's a great point.
I come from a rural area, and it's diminished. The numbers of rural people are disappearing. More metropolitan, and the rural people are more self-reliant. So when anything starts to knock at your self-reliance, that's kind of bothersome.
Yeah, I think that Jim, appreciate the phone call. I think that is a great perspective. In one way, it has forced all of us to do our homework. You know what I mean? Because of exactly what you brought up. You don't want to be caught flat-footed. You want to be aware of the very latest. And, whether you're in this business or you're not in this business, certainly you want to be up to date. And it's almost like everybody has to get together their gotcha moments. When you're getting ready to have that conversation with a friend of yours or a family member of yours that maybe you guys don't see eye to eye, all of a sudden, it's like, all right, well, I got to get my gotcha moments now. So I'm prepared for battle. And it's like, I don't know if it's necessarily battle, but to some people it is. Katie is hanging on the line at 877-44 Mitch. Katie, really appreciate your patience. You are on 760 WJR. Good afternoon, Katie.
She dropped. Let's go to Paul in St. Clair.
All right, let's head to St. Clair. Paul, thanks for your patience. You are on 760 WJR.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
I love WJR.
Thank you.
I'm a Vietnam era veteran.
Thank you for serving.
And I just wondering, I'm hoping Trump wins.
Mm-hmm.
But if you win, are the Democrats going to cry for another 4 years? I mean, I'm tired of hearing it. Buy them some crying towels or something. Because I was always taught when I was in the service, it's not the person that's in the office. It's the office you respect, not the person. So no matter who's in there, when Trump won, I remember he was losing that night when I went to bed.
Yeah.
And when I woke up in the morning, I heard that some churches got together and prayed, and he got in. So, apparently God wanted him in, and I'm not going to stand there and tell God that he's wrong.
You know what's fascinating, Paul? I think that night, for people that are interested in the political landscape, that night is going to live in infamy. And I appreciate the phone call because everything that you read, every poll that was out there, said that not only was Hillary Clinton going to win, but she was going to win by a mile. And I often think back to as that night progressed, where it was, well, he's making it. Wait a second. What's going on in Pennsylvania? What's going on? Michigan? As the night progressed, you started to think, oh my goodness, he might win this. And when he won it, there was that moment of, I'll tell you, I never thought in a million years Donald Trump was going to win. Never thought in a million years Donald Trump was going to win. Okay. And it is amazing to me because 4 years later, I'm sorry to get off the reservation a little bit, but you brought this up in my head. I cannot believe there are people swearing by polls. If we learned one thing 4 years ago at this time, it was how on earth could you ever, ever, ever put credence into polls again? Not after 2016. Katie from West Bloomfield, we've got her back. Katie, glad that you're with us here on 760 WJR. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, this is a comment regarding how this whole way of thinking started.
Yeah.
My uncle, Jack Kean, was a reporter for Automotive News for like 65 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1992 or 94, when Clinton was president, the FCC made a change that written, radio, and television news no longer had to say both sides of a story. Where before you always had to report at least two sides of a story. And this neutral presentation, just like you do. And my uncle that night said, you wait, 25 years from now, this country's going to be dramatically divided. And he was totally right.
He wasn't wrong. That's for sure. I mean, there's no, it's interesting. And Katie, thank you for the phone call. One of the most fun things that I do, and if you want to say I have no life, you can do that. But I think many of us can certainly relate in a certain regard. Is look at how the same story is reported by two different entities. It is hysterical. It is hysterical. Quickly, let's try to cram one more caller in, and that is Tina in Flat Rock. You are on 760 WJR. Hi, Tina.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Good, good. Hey, I wanted to comment. A lot of the things that are happening, and I've run into it in numerous occasions. I'm a teacher, and I did that online dating stuff when I was single and what have you. And I find that over text and over Facebook and on the computer, people will type and say anything without thinking regards to what they're saying.
Yeah.
But you put them face to face with people, and all of a sudden it's a different person. And I think people are isolated right now, and a lot of this stuff, they're just saying stuff that they wouldn't normally even say in public or to your face, and it's causing all sorts of issues.
It is amazing, Tina. You could call it heroism. You could call it keyboard warrior. You can call it whatever you want. But I agree with you wholeheartedly that is something that has come up. It's amazing. And yet, if you call them out, freedom of speech. No, what you want is freedom of consequence, from consequence. We talked about that yesterday. And a lot of times people are expressing their right to freedom of speech when they call you out if they think that you are doing this, that, or the other thing. Hour two next, we've got a couple special guests. Want to get into a couple other things as well. So glad you can join us wherever you may be. My name is Sean Baligian. I'm sitting in for Mitch Albom here on 760 WJR. Before we take a look at news at the top of the hour with Marie Osborne, why don't we take a look at traffic with the one and only Michael Stetz.
In Wayne County, an accident on 75 northbound before Rosa Parks Boulevard that has the left two lanes blocked. Your stop and go from the Ambassador Bridge. Also in Wayne County, an accident on 94 westbound after Trumbull Street that has the left lane blocked. Your stop and go from Woodward. And in Monroe County, an accident on 75 southbound at Erie Road that has the right lane blocked. Your stop and go right now from Otter Creek Road. Now WJR weather first. From the Weather Channel, a stray shower or thunderstorm still possible for tonight. A low this evening of 69. Scattered thunderstorms for Wednesday with a high tomorrow of 84. Right now it's 85 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News in 3 minutes.
Care can prevent hopeful parents from realizing their dreams of having a baby.
Dave, welcome back.
I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Women's Health is proud to say they lead the way.
Yeah, you sound great.
Sean, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Cool.
Dave switched out mics like a Daytona pit crew.
Yeah, man.
Oh my goodness gracious.
You all right?
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
I'm serious. Staring at the screen is just, it gives you a headache. Does that make sense?
Sure.
That's why your mom used to say don't sit too close to the TV.
Mom, you were right. Mom, you were right.
I didn't listen, and I have fantastic vision.
As you know, I'm blind as a bat. Maybe that's part of my reason right now I'm not wearing my glasses.
Could be. Oh, that's good. Yeah, Patrick's been following me around the WJR schedule with a couple weeks ago with Chris, with Kevin yesterday. You must think I live here. I'll be with Sean and Guy tomorrow.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay!
You're like the ultimate utility man.
We're all together like the rest of the week, right?
We are, yes.
All right, good.
All right, I'm like Johnny Kelly, baby.
Patrick said, "Get those gamer glasses advertised on the station." How funny would that be?
Do we advertise gamer glasses? I think David was wearing gamer glasses earlier.
I told you guys I was coming back from a hockey broadcast, and I had been, there's no other way to say it, I had been lying to myself for about 2 years. I knew my vision was going, but I didn't want to admit it, because me, strong like bull, Superman.
Sure.
And I was driving home one night, and it was foggy, and I'm not joking, I couldn't see. It was like frightening, and I was like, okay, I'm not messing around anymore. I'm getting glasses. So I jumped right to bifocals. That's how shot my eyes were. Yeah.
Right. Usually the glasses you get at the pharmacy are the gateway glass, but you just went straight for the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a wonderful gift from my grandmother back in 2002 before she passed away, and that was the gift of LASIK surgery.
No kidding, yeah?
Yes. And it was the greatest. And the first thing I did when I was able to go out and test my vision was I went to the driving range and to see how far I could see the golf ball. And it was amazing.
Someone get this guy an endorsement deal.
It was great.
Kingpin Rieger, you've heard about my golf game a lot, but let me tell you about LASIK.
It was great.
That's great. Yeah.
Because I used to be the guy that would break the glasses, come to school with the tape on the lens, the paper clip in the little holes to keep the little thing that held the glasses together. They were always broken. The backup pair was always horrible. Nothing ever looked right. It was just a big pain.
I took a hockey stick straight to my eye when I was 17, and it scratched my cornea, and it was really funny because it was the opposite eye that just went south like that. Like he said, your right eye is so shot because basically, and this makes sense. He said it's had to overcompensate for so long that literally my right eye, he goes, I cannot believe how bad your right eye is compared to that eye. And it's funny because this eye got scratched. I mean, it was, it's weird.
It's like when I get the gout in my left ankle, in a couple weeks, my right knee will hurt because I'm putting more pressure on my right leg.
Well, that's what happened. If you remember, I had that bike accident a few years ago. I tore my right groin, and it was my left knee that blew out like a month later. Go figure.
Maybe that's what acupuncture is. If you have a ache in your elbow, they put it in like your back. Maybe that's like a pulley system inside our body that does that.
Ooh. Do I have time to go get water, by the way?
Yeah, I don't think we're back for like 3 or 4 minutes.
All right, I'm going to go get water. I'll be right back.
Okay. Don't leave me alone with Dave.
Is that scary for you, Michael?
Nah. Dave, I cannot believe how quickly you were able to switch your microphone over.
I know, it's pretty fast. I'm sure everybody watched because you had the StreamYard on with the area shot of the studio here. So
studio cam, yeah, that's my specialty.
So I'm sure that everybody saw how quickly we were able to switch everything out.
Mark Gardner is always so complimentary. I don't know, Dave, like in the mornings, in the morning, here from Beckman's show to Kevin yesterday to Sean, it seems like a lot of the same great listeners follow us on Facebook. I don't know if they're with you that early in the morning too when you fill in for Paul.
Yeah, Patrick Mendez is there. He's usually there in the morning. There is also another person who I don't see right now.
There's Clay.
Clay and Patrick seem to always be around all day long. They got it locked on WJR.
And then we love all the new people who comment on as well. I mean, this is fun. It's sort of like a behind the scenes, like
sure,
you're a fly on the wall. You're in on the secret.
Patrick says we're just bored.
Yeah, you've watched everything on Netflix, so we're your last resort.
I miss the radio station. I miss going in. Seriously, I never thought in a million years I'd feel that way, but I miss going in.
No, I can see that because me actually coming into the radio station, I feel like I feel somewhat of a sense of normalcy.
Sure.
We just kept on coming in.
I went to the TV station for the first time, to do the state champs thing a few weeks ago. Hi, Stats. I went.
Is this our traffic guy, Michael Stats?
I went there for the first time in 4 months. It was crazy. What are you doing?
Wait, what were you doing for the first time in 4 months?
State champs.
I know. I've taken a couple of I've taken a couple of weeks off throughout this pandemic, and by Thursday I'm ready to come back to work. You know, there's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go when you're off.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take these calls until we have the conversation at 6:18. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah.
All right.
I would be a producer.
Yes, I'm going to type you a text message here and let you know who's still on the line for you to talk to.
All right, you're a nice human. Oh, Ozark is unbelievable. Ronald, I couldn't agree with you more. Ozark is.
Did it get canceled though? Now?
One more year. There's one more
okay.
season. One more season.
All right.
And Sean, there's something on Hulu I've been telling you to check out forever. I don't know if you have. Blaine has Letterkenny on
Yes,
Hulu.
I've heard about. He has sent me clips.
Yeah.
And I've got to do that. I've seen the clips. Let's put it this way: there are many relatable things about Letterkenny.
Right. As both a hockey player and a Canadian.
Keith said, listener from Florida that tuned in specifically because of me. That's very nice, Keith. Thank you. I appreciate that very, very, very much.
Upload on Amazon. I haven't gotten into the Amazon Prime.
My kids. Oh,
Amazon's got some good stuff. Amazon's got some good
all
stuff.
about it.
Yeah.
I have a limit. We can only subscribe to 2 streaming services at a time unless you get like a 2-for-1 deal like Hulu and Disney Plus. Oh, here we come. 10 seconds.
All right.
You're listening to The Mitch Albom Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Filling in for Mitch, Sean Baligian.
Well, a busy 6 o'clock hour. We'll continue with your phone calls at 877-44-MITCH. We have Andrew Blake coming on. A pretty cool story happening in Detroit as well that maybe you might want to be a part of. So certainly I want you to be listening for that coming up at about 6:35. Let's say about 6:35. In the meantime, really appreciate your phone calls and the conversation and the fact that, we're not always going to agree on things, but boy, oh boy, I hope I can always be civil with you, and hopefully you can be civil with me. And that's part of the conversation today that, we may not always agree on things, but what's happened in recent years is people, it's almost as if it's ruining relationships. And I grew up in an era, I didn't know how this guy felt or that guy felt. And look, I have friends on all sides of the political aisle. And to me, I'm the type of person, if somebody's a good dude, may not agree with them on everything, I'm still going to have a relationship. And family is family. You're always going to be family. And, it's interesting because we've heard a couple people say, that their family in one way, shape, or form has kind of been ripped apart because of politics. And, the question that I throw at you guys is, when did this happen? When did this start? Because this has been going on for a while now. And in my humble opinion, it's getting worse as opposed to getting better. Numbers is always 877-44-MITCH. Steve in Holt, we appreciate your patience. You are on 760 WJR. Good evening, Steve.
Yes, it is a very good evening. And Sean, the commentary about what happened in 2016, for the state of Michigan is very reminiscent of what happened in 1990 in the state of Michigan. Nobody gave John Engler a prayer of winning. All the so-called experts were ready to roll out the red carpet and give Governor Blanchard a third term. And, when obviously the election results wound up being very close. And, I woke up to WJR's newscast the morning after about 6 o'clock in the morning when your numbers counters at the station were giving Blanchard a lead of about 5,000 votes. And 5 minutes before that newscast, John Engler had declared himself the winner. And Governor Blanchard did not concede defeat until about 11:30 the next morning. So, and obviously that was one of the shocker elections. The 2016 wound up, turning out identically, so to speak.
Yeah, it was amazing to me. And Steve, I appreciate the phone call. I mean, just from, and again, I'm doing my best to not talk about political affiliation here. I think everybody thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win, right? I mean, there are some people that after the fact might say, oh, I knew Donald Trump was going to win. I mean, I can't say that you're wrong, but at that point in time, I would say, if you thought he was going to win, based on what? Because, I mean, just about every polling didn't just have a Hillary Clinton win. It had a Hillary Clinton landslide. And I'm somebody, trust me, even when I was, forget knee deep in being a sports broadcaster, I was up to my eyes in sports broadcasting. Election day is just something different. It's a different beast, and there's so many exciting moving parts, and especially being in this business. And I've been fortunate to, work at a television station in town and work at a news station like 760 WJR. Being in the station on an election day, there's a rush that you can't put your finger on. There just is. It's a fascinating thing, and it's certainly a fascinating watch when you're sitting at home. My family and I have this tradition where, we go out, we get dinner, and we just kind of sit in, make a fire, and just watch it. And I'm glad even my kids have been a part of that in recent years. Jason, calling somewhere in the Metro Detroit area. Jason, we appreciate your patience. You are on 760 WJR. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I've been listening to the callers and the commentary, and I think everybody needs to figure out a way to figure this out.
Agreed.
Because if we don't, we're going to end up with a big mess on our hands, right? Everyone likes a secure food supply. Everyone likes secure water supply. And if we don't focus on some basic things here, we're going to lose the whole picture. And I don't want that to happen, and I don't think anybody else does. But the trivialness that we can't get over somebody that disagrees with us politically, yeah, there's important decisions that have to be made and that will cause conflict. But at the end of the day, I want the streetlights to turn on. I want my water to come out of the faucets. I want to go to my refrigerator, have power, and maybe have a little something to eat and a Kit Kat in there before I go to bed. Right? It's not difficult, folks.
Well said, Jason. And somebody brought this up in the last segment, and I'm glad that you brought that perspective up, because I'm going to be interested to see, regardless of who wins, if we can forget about the election once the election's over and just work towards working together. Because, and I'm not pointing the finger in any direction here, but let's be honest, the last 3 years has been one battle after another. That's what it's been. And again, I know what people will say, depending on what side of the aisle that you're on. People will blame the Democrats. People will blame the Republicans. And I'm being very sincere when I say this, as the father of now a 20-year-old and a 15-year-old. My kids have grown up in an era where a lot of politicians have seemed incredibly childish. It's not exactly a great example for our kids out there. Betty, we're going to give you the last word. Thanks for calling in 760 WJR.
Thank you for your program. No, I was giving you an update on why Engler won. He was ahead until Coleman Young did not want him to be. He had done something to offend Coleman Young, and I know this because I was on the inside on that. And he got the people out to vote the other way, so Blanchard would not be the governor.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I was a young man at the time, and I'll be perfectly blunt with you. I thank you and the previous caller for the perspective on that, and wish you a great night. I was a young man at the time, and I'm not as aware of the circumstances of that. I do know this. I remember vividly people were shocked that Governor Engler won, or John Engler at the time won. When we come back, just a heads up, we've got Andrew Blake, president of Blake's Orchard and Cider Mill. Now, anybody that knows me, Mike Parsons, you will smile when I say this. The cider mill is one of my Zen places. I'm a big cider mill guy. So We'll talk to him about that and, of course, some other things as well. But first, why don't we take a look at traffic here on 760 WJR. Here's Michael Stetz.
Thank you, Sean. WJR traffic here. In Flint, an accident on 69 westbound at M54 that has you stop and go from Center Road. In Monroe County, that accident from earlier on 75 southbound at Erie Road is now cleared. In Wayne County, an accident on 94 westbound at Trumbull Street that has the left lane blocked. Your stop and go right now from 75. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel.
Slight chance for a shower or storm here tonight, otherwise partly cloudy skies. Temperatures overnight into the mid-upper 60s. Mix of clouds and sunshine Wednesday. Better chance for showers and storms tomorrow. Highs in the low to mid-80s. Partly cloudy, low 80s Thursday. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ken Boone on News Talk 760 WJR.
While you're under the care of Hospice of Michigan, they're
Hey, Ronald brought up something. Mike, you want to watch something whacked out?
Yeah.
Watch Wild Wild Country. Did you see that?
No, but I remember everyone was talking about it after Tiger King.
Dude, I watched this last year, like in 2019. It's unbelievable. Like, you're going to see things in that and you're going to go, huh? I mean, it was, they literally took over a city and they were trying to take over the state. It was crazy.
What state did they try to take over?
Was it Oregon? I think it was Oregon. I think he's right. I think it was Oregon. It was crazy.
Sounds kind of like the Chop Zone.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
What I did watch on Netflix along those lines was Waco, about David Koresh and the Branch Davidians.
Yeah,
that was pretty. It was actually kind of pro Koresh, which was odd, but different perspective, I guess. Well, it was based off of a book by an FBI agent and a former member of the cult. So it was half very pro Koresh and then half very pro like the FBI agent. But it was good.
Yeah, it was Wasco County, Oregon, and the name of the city was Antelope. It was crazy.
Huh, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, because I remember once everybody watched Tiger King, they were looking for another train wreck, and that was the big one everyone was talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're going to talk more about the cider mill on the air, but I got to say that's one thing I just can't boycott. It's
love cider mills. God.
2020 has just been a nightmarish hellscape, and I'm just not going to deny myself. I'm not going to cancel something else for myself.
You know, I live a couple miles away from Parmender's out here in Northville, and it is, I'm not joking. My kids laugh at me. I'll make a drive every couple days just to see if they put up the "We are opening on this date" sign, and they haven't done it yet. So I think everything, like so much in our state right now, is fluid, because I don't know how you would even begin to try to social distance at a cider mill that is absolutely packed, like a Blake's, like a Parmender's. You know, go pretty much any time, especially the first couple of weeks, and it's packed the entire time. You know,
Sean, am I a bad person that I don't miss the cider mill at all?
Dave,
now we're done. Now we're done, and I am writing a letter to Miles. Miles to cancel it.
Well, right? What thing you have to remember about Dave, Sean, is that
it doesn't. I mean, you can go to the grocery store and get donuts and cider. I mean, you know.
Oh, Dave, your mic cut out. Here's one thing we have to remember about Dave is that he hates happiness. So why would it be any surprise that he hates?
But that is not true, because Sean knows the things that make me very happy. Sean knows.
Right, like sadness and despair. We're back
all of us hanging our heads on Lion Sundays.
Right. Bye, Dave.
You're listening to the Mitch Albom Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Filling in for Mitch, Sean Baligian.
Well, you know, I didn't plan it this way, but actually I did. Something that goes right along the lines of the conversation of tonight is happening. And You've probably heard me say this before on the air, and some of the people that I work with have some fun at my expense with this, and that's okay. I have no problem with it. One of my happy places on earth is the cider mill. I absolutely love the cider mill. It evokes images of, being a kid, going apple picking, getting those unbelievable donuts and cider. It really is one of my Zen places, and certainly I think it's safe to say one of the most famous cider mills in our neck of the woods is Blake's Cider Mill. Kindly joining us now on the Mitch Albom Show. Let's welcome in the president of Blake's Orchard and Cider Mill, Andrew Blake. And first of all, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us here on 760 WJR. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Sean. How are you? Thank you for having us on.
No, Andrew, first and foremost, the question on my mind is, when are you guys open? Is there any open plans? I know with COVID and social distancing, it's probably really put some stress on a lot of cider mills in the area. Is there any news you can give us in that regard?
Of course, we are open right now. The nice thing about being a cider mill and being a farm, first and foremost, is we have a lot of space to responsibly bring people onto the property. We have implemented social distancing measures, and we are currently open for business, taking all the precautions for customers to come out and have a great family experience.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, Andrew, you're going to see me and my family very shortly. I promise you that. That's my happy place, and I think we all need a happy place during these times. There's no doubt about that. So make sure you head out to Blake's. No doubt about it. I'm sure you've been out there. Outstanding spot. I'll certainly vouch for it. There in northern Macomb County. Obviously, we want to talk to you about something that's been in the news lately, and certainly give your perspective on this. You canceled a Trump rally. As the headline in the Detroit Free Press says, I read verbatim, Blake's Farms cancels Trump rally after social media backlash, blames miscommunication. Can you give everybody the backstory on that and, how you came to this decision?
Of course, and we'd love to. And the great thing about a show like yours is we can get into the nuance, because I think that's what gets lost in the headlines.
Yes.
And historically, we've been around for 75 years, and we are in the event business. We have over 1,000 acres. We're one of the few spots right now where we can, in Metro Detroit, where you can safely, host an event. And as it relates to, the political side of things, Blake's has always taken, a non-political stand as an organization, but we have allowed, individuals of different, political affiliations to have private events to host. And, when we originally signed up for this event, we thought it was a Lisa McLean event, someone who we've known for a long time, Metro Detroiter, and we thought we were signing up for something, that we've done in the past. We've had Democrats, we've had Republicans, we've had libertarians out, having, renting and paying for, a private event. What had happened, and what I think gets lost a little bit in the narrative, is we were not under the understanding that it was going to be a rally of sorts. It was, that it was going to be beyond the scope of a private event. And when we realized it was going to be beyond the scope of a private event, we thought, for multiple different reasons, that it grew beyond the level that we were comfortable with. We are a family farm. We are in the business of making memories for all families, regardless of a political affiliation. And we did not want politics to divide the experience that we offer out here at Blake. And, kudos to our team, our marketing team, our event team for making the decision. And, we're dealing with, with some backlash. And I think people don't quite understand the nuance of the decision made. But, it wasn't solely based on, backlash from social media. There's a lot of things that go into that. The ability to manage an event that maybe, would get, larger than we were comfortable with from a safety protocol in this COVID scenario. So there's a lot of things that went into it. And, I'm really proud of our team for making the call and, and committing to not be political and creating this, continuing to create the experience of making memories.
Andrew, I love hearing you say that because, in my mind, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, it sounds to me like you used common sense. And unfortunately, in today's society, what you're going to find in a circumstance like this is, the day before you did it, people were probably saying, well, why do you hate Governor Whitmer? And the day that you made that decision, which for the record, not that you care, I think it's the right decision in today's climate. They're probably turning around now saying, well, why do you hate Donald Trump? And what I'm hearing from you is it's neither. Look, we're a family place. We don't want to get involved in that stuff. And this was probably going to be bigger than we can hope for. So you made a common sense decision based on that.
Yeah. And I think in this day and age, we talked about this internally as a team. I think we did a good job because we have, liberals and conservatives frustrated with us for different reasons. Like you said, it went back and forth. And, at the end of the day, we still need places that are non-political, that people can come and just enjoy family experiences, enjoy one another. And, to the extent that we thought that this would, divide, our clientele, and even our employees, it's just not worth it. I mean, you can't, with social media and the media at large. I mean, politics is taking up a lot of our bandwidth, and we need to have places where we can, not focus on politics and get back to what it is to being, a good neighbor, a good family member, and a great citizen.
Here. Couldn't agree with you more. Kindly joining us, Andrew Blake, president of Blake's Orchard and Cider Mill. The decision has been made. Have things started to subside? Are people taking the common sense approach to this now and kind of understanding, your position on this? What's the fallout been as of late?
It's been amazing to see the true fans that have reached out in support of a common sense decision. Unfortunately, the political environment we are in, people have picked sides and, are fighting for those sides. So we're seeing that. But I think that's much more an expression of the current political environment we are in than people's perception of Blake's. I think, especially as we're able to communicate our message through shows like yours, I think you're going to see, a lot more people understand that, it's not exactly as the headlines say. There's just so many more, with social media and headlines and, and trying to get clicks. I mean, nuances went out the window, and there's a lot of nuance that went into this decision. It was not, a one-faceted decision.
Great stuff, Andrew. I'll tell you what. I want to quote our fine engineer here tonight, Mike Parsons. He said, I know the cancel culture is going on. There's no way in Hades I'm canceling a cider mill. I feel the exact same way. I think you did the right thing, man. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait to bring my family out there and experience, as you said, what is a rite of passage in our great state. Continued success to you, my friend. I think you made the right decision. Sometimes making the right decision isn't easy, but you did it just the same, and we wish you all the best.
Hey, we really appreciate it. And, can't thank you enough for giving us the opportunity. And, we'll be here, providing the same great experience and memories for all political parties. And, we'll get through this election cycle and this 2020 COVID year together. And we're going to be happy to be here to serve our customers.
Great stuff, Andrew. Continued success. All right. That's Andrew Blake from Blake's out there in northern Macomb County. I will hit it up soon. You have my word on it. First, let's take a look at traffic. Here's Michael Stetz.
In Wayne County, an accident on 94 westbound after Trumbull Street that has the left lane blocked. Your stop and go from 75. In Flint, an accident on 69 westbound at M54 that has you stop and go from Center Road. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. A stray shower or thunderstorm possible for tonight with a low of 69. Scattered thunderstorms for Wednesday with a high tomorrow of 84. Right now, it's 85 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News in 2 minutes.
Tax
I still can't look at Dave.
But I can bring
You know how
myself back in.
Do you know how badly I need a gallon of cider right now? I don't even want to think about what I would do to a gallon of cider right now.
You know, my go-to, I grew up on the east side. My go-to Yates, I believe, is open year-round.
Yeah, Parmenter's is usually they would open around August 22nd, and they go until the Saturday after or the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
I've been there.
Yeah, I love it.
What we should do, you know, if you ever come back in the studio, we should have like a cider and donuts potluck. You bring the Parmenter cider, I'll bring the Yates donuts. It'll be like our dream team.
You know, I have to pick up some for Wheeler every fall because Wheeler doesn't live close to there anymore. So since I started working at JR again, every fall I'll get a call from him at some point in time saying, hey, when you come in, can you bring me a couple gallons? And it's, you know, everybody's got their own taste buds, right? You know, it's a lot of times it's what you grew up with. It's, you know, I always use the example of Coney's. If you grew up around here, chances are you love Coney's. Some of my friends from out of town, so Rieger, you don't? Well,
Hey, what do you like?
You hate happiness. You hate puppy dogs. You hate rainbows. Hey, boy.
Dave, are you even from around here?
Michael wrote an article last fall about cider.
Michael Dwyer is a good dude, a co-worker of mine from my first radio job at WPON.
I'm going to check that out, Michael.
Mike's a good dude.
Thank you very much. I'll keep that link.
Michael knows I like a lot of things. Sean knows I like a lot of things. You guys just happen to be mentioning things that I don't necessarily care for.
You know what?
It's just one of those days. It's just one of those days.
Virus cases.
You know, it happens. You know, you just find some things that you're just talking about that I don't hate anything. I just don't necessarily like them.
Sean, do you know what Dave hates? I'm going to tell on him right now. You know what Dave absolutely hates?
Yes.
He hates the Wayne County Light Fest.
Yes.
Do you really?
That is a complete waste of time. Come on.
Okay, let me ask you something.
$5.
Does your niece love it? Is your niece a fan?
I'm sure Olive loves it. She's 4.5. She's 4.5 years old. She loves everything.
I have many, many, many wonderful memories taking my kids there when they were kids, obviously. Would I do it if I was a single man or it was just my wife and I? No.
You know what else I don't like? Parades. Waste of time.
Welcome to the new show, What Dave Hates.
What a complete waste of
Spoiler
time.
alert.
Come on.
Everything.
Wires, is it Patrick brought up Wires? You've ever been out there like Ypsilanti way? That's a good spot.
I have. You know, Wired and Blake's are very similar, as in they're almost like a mix of an apple orchard, like a theme park. There's like a ton of stuff to do.
I have been to the Franklin Cider Mill many times.
That's a good spot too. That's a darn good spot.
There's Michael dropping more cider mill knowledge on us.
Cold storage apples. Oh gosh. Somebody asked cold or hot cider. Was that Patrick?
Yes, Patrick. That's what I was looking for.
I'm a cold cider guy all day.
I'm going to step away for a sec to get your next guest, Sean. I'll be back.
All right.
That's for the best. I love you, Dad. Dave and I have been friends for a long time.
We love Dave. If you guys are watching on Facebook Live, you need to know we love Dave. Okay, so don't take that seriously. We love Dave.
Yeah, I do like hot cider sometimes but I've got to be in the mood for a hot cider. Usually I like the cold cider. My wife loves cider slushes, which is my my least favorite incarnation of cider.
I agree with you. I like cold, but I would put the slushes behind the hot. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A lot of it's my fault because normally I drag her out to a cider mill very early in the year when it's still hot out.
Yeah.
Like that first day in August where it doesn't quite get above 75. I'm like, the cider mill's calling me. And I go to a bunch of them. I follow them around like people follow the band Fish.
Last year it was funny, and it doesn't seem like almost a year ago, the cider mill opened on the same date that college football started. So, of course, I dubbed it the greatest day ever because I got to go to the cider mill in the morning and then watch college football in the afternoon. And it was I waited in line for, I'm not joking, it was probably 35 minutes, and I had no problem doing it. None.
Well, and then when I go get cider and donuts, I have to eat a dozen by myself because, you have to eat enough to last you till next year.
Can't you get this stuff at the grocery store?
It's not the same.
The cider and donuts at the grocery store are garbage.
Not the same. Not.
I mean-
No. Not. Michael.
Is it kind of like
Michael Dwyer? Talk to your boy. You need
Is
to
it kind of like
no.
is it kind of like a hot dog tastes different at the ballpark than it does normally?
No, it's made differently. It's fresh. It's not.
I'm thinking to myself, Sean, you could just go to the grocery store and get yourself some cider. You'll be all
I would
right.
like to buy a cider mill. I think that would be like my if I'm to live my best life, it would be as the owner and proprietor of a cider mill.
Right, like a simple cider mill proprietor. Sean,
If you and Michael open a cider shop and
We'll put up a picture.
will
Do not serve this man.
Will you invite me over to get a media preview of this?
Yes.
When you guys, okay,
Yes.
perfect.
So you wouldn't show up.
And do you see your boy? Look what your boy said. Michael said, "Not the same. It is not the same."
All right, Michael knows. Guy does extensive travel. He knows a lot about a lot.
You're listening to the Mitch Albom Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Filling in for Mitch, Sean Baligian.
Well, having some fun during our breaks on Facebook Live. Boy, some of the conversations that we've had, I don't even know how to explain it, but I think maybe, just maybe, you might be missing out with some of the conversations. So hopefully you can join us on Facebook Live as we are doing this via StreamYard live on Facebook as well as the old-fashioned way here on 760 WJR. All right, wanted to welcome in our next guest. Let's welcome her in. She is the president and CEO of the Detroit Public Schools Foundation. Some really cool things coming up with the Detroit Public Schools Foundation. So let's welcome in Pamela Moore, kindly joining us here on the Mitch Albom Show on 760 WJR. First of all, Pamela, thank you so much for joining us here on 760 WJR. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, John. Thank you for having me. You are surely energetic right now. Thank you.
Well, you know what? Pamela, there's always, in my mind, there's always positives to look at in life, in every situation. And certainly things haven't been easy for any of us the past few months, but we're going to get through this together. And thanks in part to good people like you that are giving back to the community as well. Let everybody know what's going on with the Detroit Public School Foundation.
Well, I appreciate your remarks, and you're right. We are all coming together in a way that's never really been seen before. And so I'm a proud graduate of Detroit Public Schools. So it's a real privilege for me to be in this role. I've been the president and CEO for 4 years now. And as you know, since we've closed schools back in March, there have been some real challenges for our students, for our families. But I can tell you, we have seen the most generous and most caring people come out of this crisis. And again, so let me just quickly tell you what our role is. We're the 501c3 arm of Detroit Public Schools Community District, and we really serve two roles. We have traditional fundraising events to raise money for the district, to fill in those gaps, to identify partnerships and find resources and programs. And then we also serve as fiduciary over some of the program grants that come into the district. So we have an agreement with the district that's renewed every year. Dr. Vitti is on our board. Alicia Merriweather serves on our board, as well as Angelique Peterson Mayberry, who is an elected school board member. So needless to say, we stay in lockstep with the district. Our priorities are in complete alignment with what they are doing. We really focus on literacy and career pathways, experiences beyond the classroom, and STEAM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So that is who we are and what we do. So we do have some exciting things going on. I wanted to talk with you today about our first ever golf outing. So we've never done this before. We're having it on August 13th at Fieldstone Golf Club in Auburn Hills. And what surprised me, Sean, is that we are the only charity event that they've had thus far this year. I mean, it really tells you what COVID-19 has done to the economy. They told us that they normally would have 100 charity events by now. And so we are the first of the summer. So we're excited. August 13th, we're going to have breakfast at 8 a.m. We're going to have lunch at the turn, 18 holes. You'll get a cart. Shotgun start time is 9:30. We're going to have prizes, and it's going to be so much fun. And hopefully it won't be 100 degrees that day. But we'll give away a Detroit bike. We have Detroit bikes represented on our board, and a Shinola watch. But just a day of fun and golf, and to bring people together for a very, very good cause, which is our 51,000 beautiful, wonderful, talented children at DPSCD.
Oh, I think it's awesome. And our guest, of course, kindly joining us here on 760 WJR is Pamela Moore, President and CEO of the Detroit Public Schools Foundation. Once again, that inaugural golf outing at Fieldstone Golf Club out in Auburn Hills. Pamela, how can people be a part of it? You know, maybe they're hearing this as sounds like a great idea. I'd love to help out those wonderful 51,000 students. How can people be a part of it?
Well, I would say that they need to go to our website, which is dpsfdn.org, and you can find all of the information. We're still looking for foursomes. We're still looking for sponsorship. So you've got plenty of time. I think we've got a little less than 3 weeks. And so please go to our website, and you're going to see a lot of events that we have coming up. We have a signature event normally held in October, and this year it will be October 7th. We're going to honor the Detroit Lions. Our event is called Champions of Education. Now, we don't know how it's going to look in October, right? Sure. So we're planning for a virtual event. If we're allowed to gather, we'll have a VIP event at the Detroit Yacht Club just for an hour. We'll have our students perform like they normally do. We'll have our sponsors there, DPSCD leadership, our board, the district board, and some representatives from the Lions, maybe head office. And just some fun. We'll have some video from the players, just an hour. Again, it's our big fundraiser, and we look forward to that event in October. So we're doing so much. You've probably heard about Connected Futures, where once it was really known that we would be closing schools, we knew that the digital divide was a serious issue for our students. Close to 90% of our families either did not have internet or equipment that would connect them to curriculum materials online. And so some very good people in this city went to work with Dr. Vitti, DTE, and Jerry Norcia, really taking the lead with several others, GM, Kellogg, Quicken, and Skillman in the city of Detroit, coming together to figure out how we would give each and every student, even those graduating, a tablet, free internet for 6 months, and technical support for a year. And I can tell you, I don't think I've ever seen something happen so quickly in the middle of a crisis. And so we're still fundraising. Please, again, go to our website. You can see more information, but those laptops, the tablets actually, are starting to come in. We have started distributing them. We started with the high schoolers and our students that are participating in Grow Detroit's Young Talent, the summer youth employment program. We made sure that they had their tablets so that they could start working this summer. And then we started with middle schoolers, and now we're at elementary where we're distributing to the entire district. And our goal is to get those distributed by the end of the summer, not knowing what's going to happen in the fall. And there's much news about it, but Dr. Vitti and his team, you know, you have to prepare for many different scenarios, not knowing what this pandemic is going to look like a month from now. So, but we've been busy, Sean. Can you tell? We've been busy since February. I would say it's been really, really busy, but for a wonderful, wonderful cause.
Sure,
you know,
is.
you know, that's our role, to make sure not only that our students are whole, but that families are okay and intact. We've heard about families that can't get to food distribution sites. We've gotten them gift cards. We've made sure that they have transportation to local grocery stores. again, we know that when students are not in school, there's a possibility that they're not getting 3 square meals a day. And so again, that's our role, to make sure we fill in the gaps. We're ear to the ground. We know what's going on with our students and families, and we're there to try to meet that need, even basic needs.
I'll tell you what, Pamela, I mean, outstanding job today. And if there's one thing I know about Southeast Detroit, Metro Detroit, the big hearts out there, hopefully a lot of big hearts are going to come and heed your call. And if you need anything from us, just give us a ring. We'll help you out in any way. Pamela Moore, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck here on 760.
Thank you.
All right, Pamela Moore kindly joining us. Great stuff. Make sure you help them out if you can. It's for a great cause. Let's take a look at traffic first right here. 760 WJR. Here's Michael Stetz.
WJR Traffic First, sponsored by the Restore Wellness Center. Tired of dealing with nagging body pain, joint swelling, tendonitis, neuropathy, and chronic pain? The Restore Wellness Center will reduce or eliminate the pain completely. Reserve your appointment today at the state's best non-invasive laser therapy treatment center. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or RestoreWellnessCenter.com. In Wayne County, an accident on the Southfield northbound at 7 Mile. That's on the right side of the northbound ramp. Expect delays. Emergency crews are on the scene. And also in Wayne County, an accident on 94 westbound after Trumbull Street that has the left 2 lanes blocked. Your stop and go from 75. And in Flint, an accident on 69 westbound at M54 that has your stop and go from Center Road. Now, WGR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Liberty Title, protecting property since 1974. Cybercrime and identity theft through real estate transactions is a $2 billion industry. Split closings also add unwanted costs. Ask for Umbrella by Liberty Title. Receive coverage under their cybercrime insurance policy with one set of closing costs. You have a choice. Choose LibertyTitle.com.
Stray shower thunderstorm possible for us here tonight. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies. Temperatures into the mid-upper 60s. Better chance for storms Wednesday. Mix of clouds and sun. Widely scattered showers and storms possible. Highs in the low to mid-80s. Partly cloudy, low 80s Thursday. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ken Boone on News Talk 760 WJR.
Way to fight through that audio blast at the beginning of the segment, Sean.
It all good.
I forgot to pot a couple people down, and then they'll listen to things on the computer, which, of course, they would, because it's been 3 minutes since they've been on. So that was my fault.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I was still
We'll take these calls. These guys have been hanging on forever, so we'll
they have.
come back. That's good
They
stuff.
want to talk to Sean. Shawnee B.
Legion.
Yeah, Legion. I want to talk to Legion.
It's weird doing it's been a while since I've been doing shows days in a row, so I don't miss it. Or excuse me, I should say I've missed it.
I was gonna say, okay, we won't bother you anymore, Sean.
Oh, I've missed it doing daily. Yeah.
Hello, Clay.
Hi, Clay.
Shouting us all out.
Automatically backs out of the garage to greet you. Facial recognition cameras open your door and adjust your seat. On the street.
Am I a new face? Maybe to Clay I am.
Could be, yeah.
Unfortunately, I've been fooling people in this business for almost 25 years now. It's crazy. People always thought I was bald because I've worn a hat forever. And it was funny because then when people would see me on Fox 2, they would go, "Oh my gosh, I just assumed you were bald." I can't tell you how many. Look at
right.
Full head of hair, but
you sound much baller on the radio.
Yeah. Clay's
All
a
right.
regular. Hey, Clay.
Short segment here. All right, here we come. Actually, 6 seconds. That flew by.
You're listening to the Mitch Albom Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Filling in for Mitch, Sean Baligian.
Well, we've had a lot of fun here today. Hopefully you have as well. A few minutes left in the show, and I know some people wanted to get their thoughts in. That's why we are here, 877-44-MITCH. We'll head back to the lines now. Jeff in Ypsilanti, one of my old stopping grounds. Jeff, thank you very much for your patience. You're on 760 WJR.
Hi, Sean. I just want to say I've been a UAW member for going over 20 years, and recently I harbor into the motherland in Dearborn, and I'm not going to say what company it is, but I think you know what it is. But at any rate, when I first was orientated in the Ford Motor Company, the UAW did come in, and they have an acronym called VCAP, which is their scenario where they get their financing for their political purposes and whatnot. And in VCAP on page 3 or 4 or whatever, it says that they don't discriminate against any political party as long as it meets their agenda. Well, I had a bumper sticker on my vehicle about 3 years ago where I had a Trump sticker on there, and somehow or another it leaked back, and then I ran into my president, and we had a little bit of back and forth, and all of a sudden he claimed, he screamed at me that I knew that I was a Republican and this and that and all this other stuff, and I reminded him that it really doesn't matter to the UAW. And he says, why is that? And I referenced him to the VCAP pamphlet where it says that they don't discriminate against political parties. My thing is that when Obama was president for the last 8 years prior to, people wore Obama hats, Obama shirts, and all these other things. And then when Trump became president, somebody wore a MAGA hat or a Trump thing. They actually were asked to remove their hat or their shirt for the reason that it upset other people. Well, my whole thing is that the UAW, to me, is hypocritical due to the fact that it just shows right on their main pamphlet for their political financial gains that they don't discriminate against a political party. And that's what I got to say about that. And I really have been set back a little bit, but I've been semi-fighting it while I'm in the plant, and I don't go up and I don't cheer about it and all these other things about who I like. But my whole thing is, like you said, it's a fight now that they don't like me, and I'm pointed out. So I
don't, Jeff, for the life of me, I'm going to say it again. I'll speak for me. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I think, there have been so many negative connotations made about President Trump. And I remind people, we heard the same things about President Bush, not to the degree that we've heard about President Trump, but let's not, mince words here. I mean, so many people made the same claims and the same kind of ideals about President Bush, but this is, 10 times more. And I'll reiterate, I know people in my neighborhood, neighbors of mine, that have told me they don't want to put up signs for fear of retribution. And to me, that is assimilation. If you don't think the way that we do and become, as one with us, we're going to make you pay. And it's like, nah, it doesn't work that way. Not at all.
I think what I'm going to do, though, is on that page 3, and I'll put VCAP on top of the T-shirt, is I'm going to print out that thing and put it on a T-shirt that they don't discriminate. And maybe I'll wear that at work, and hopefully somebody will get a look at it.
Well, best of luck to you.
Sean.
No, I appreciate the phone call here on 760 WJR, 877-44-MITCH. We head to Toledo. That's where we find Mark. Mark, thank you very much for your patience. You are on 760 WJR. Good evening, Mark.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
Tremendous. Yourself, sir?
Great. I've been a fan of yours since you were on a local Toledo station down here. You played the foil to some host. Remember that?
I sure do. Scott and I had so much fun down there. It's great memories. I was a young man back then. We'll leave it at that. But I had so much fun and made a lot of lifelong friends down there. I loved the Toledo area. Absolutely loved it.
Good. Well, I'm still here and I still love it. So I just wanted to let you know that, the problem with some of your people that are calling in is they're too gosh darn young to remember 1967, 1968, 1969, 1970. Those were tough years. Those were years where you were judged by the way you dressed sometimes. And in 1968, I think it was, when Walter Cronkite came on the air in CBS and said, the Vietnam War is unwinnable, that created a maelstrom that that doesn't even register today. I mean, it was terrible back then. You couldn't have dinner with your family because you had an opinion about the Vietnam War and about what was going on that was different from somebody else in that room, and you had to get up and walk out. So when people talk about how bad it is now, I'm old enough to remember that, I had very big problems with my parents and my relatives and my brothers and sisters about what I believed in. So let's calm down a little bit.
No, hey, you know what, Mark? It's interesting you say that. I remember I did a show, Mike Parsons. I don't know if you remember, and thank you for the call and the kind words, Mark. I did a show a couple of years ago with you, Mike, where we talked about that. I'm not old enough to remember the Vietnam era. I've heard the stories, but there's nothing quite like living it. And I even asked the question because I'm of the opinion that we are as divided as a society today than we have at any point in time in my life. There's no doubt about it. I'm not quite old enough to remember the Vietnam era. So to your point, Mark, I can't speak to that. But, Mike, I don't know if you remember that conversation. That was 2 years ago. And I think all it's done is ramped itself up since then, just even in the past couple of years.
Yeah, or history repeats itself. I remember feeling that way during Bush's Iraq War, but obviously I can't compare it to Vietnam because I wasn't around. But
sure.
I felt like I guess that was when I really noticed political divides and how people take them personally.
I agree. And Mike, that's why I keep saying I know the simple answer to the question, when did this divide and just this anger start? So many people go, well, it was when Trump was elected. No, it's been around before then, and it's been both ways for a while. And I would say right around that time is when I really started to see it take off. Because let's not make any mistake, W was not liked. Period. And I've even heard people say, political commentators, wow, we thought W was bad, ... And then we turn into a situation, and you see the way that the whole Trump movement is today. Boy, it's night and day to me. No doubt about it. It is night and day.
And a lot of people who used to hate W now miss him.
Yeah, isn't
really
that amazing?
just like Trump,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And all he had to do was share a piece of candy with Michelle Obama. Isn't that amazing?
Or wear a poncho at the inauguration.
Hey, guys, it was a lot of fun today. Great stuff. Really enjoyed talking with the people on Facebook Live as well. Thank you for participating and certainly having some shows within the shows. Anytime you guys want to talk about the nuances of a cider mill, make sure to join me on Facebook. We'll do that anytime. That's what we were doing for our radio listeners. We had a couple segments on cider mills. But Mike Parsons, thank you very much. Dave Rieger, always a pleasure. And, of course, Michael Stetz, thank you for providing the traffic updates. Most importantly, thanks to you, the listeners, wherever you guys may be, for inviting us into your radio, your computer, whatever the case will be. That will do it for tonight. I am in all week, so you're stuck with me again tomorrow night. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. You're stuck with me all week, so we will have another conversation tomorrow night right here on 760 WJR. In the meantime, have yourselves a blessed evening, and until tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I'm Sean Baligian saying Michael Stetz up next with a look at traffic right here on 760 WJR. Good night, everybody.
Oops, I gave you
with no long-term contracts. Indeed,
I gave you music a little early there, Sean.
That's okay. I had a feeling. I just kept talking, so it's no big deal. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I got some things to do.
Okay, talk to you tomorrow.
Yep. Keep hope alive.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.